Thanks for staying with us. I'm Ted Rall, coming to you from the left.
I'm Scott Stantis, coming to you from the right.
And this is the DMZ America podcast for April 12th. The Biden administration is making news this week with its most ambitious climate change related initiative yet. They now say, although, let's face it, this is dead on arrival in a Republican House of Representatives, that they would like federal legislation and basically a combination of regulations and incentives that would encourage Detroit to make 2 out of 3 cars or more in the United States electric by the year 2032. And Scott, I have a lot of questions about this.
Okay, shoot.
And so I'm going to start with the class issue. You are hard pressed to find an electric vehicle for less than $40,000 or $50,000 right now.
Yeah. Yes.
You can get a pretty decent brand new gas powered car for about $24,000 right now. So so how are people going to be able to afford these substantially more expensive cars?
The same way that people like that think that people in poor neighborhoods can buy locally sourced vegetables. It's like, you can't. It's absurd. The prices, the idea is that as more of these vehicles enter the market, the prices will come down. And I think that's
economies of
true.
Scale.
That's what happens, and that will happen. But the thing is, things like a friend of mine has a Volt.
The government could provide tax incentives if they wanted.
They're doing now. There are tax incentives now, are there not?
They come and go. I bought a hybrid in 2004, a Honda Civic, and
way ahead of the curve. Wow.
And that came with I loved the car, actually. It came with it was a great car. It drove 14 years, 275,000 miles. And these are New York City miles. These were a lot of them. So
wow. I know. I drove in New York City with them, and
yeah, great car. And
it's 10 years off my life. I'll never get back.
it had a 12-gallon tank, and I could get about 580 miles out of that tank. With a combination of city and highway. Pretty impressive. Anyway, the point is, there was a $4,000 tax break for buying that car. And even more deliciously, you got a sticker that let you drive by yourself in the HOV lane. Now, in New York City,
that's huge.
That's worth gold. It's platinum. It is amazing. So, you're cruising in on the Long Island Expressway or whatever. See ya, suckers. I don't have to bring my blow-up doll. Nothing. Clovis doesn't have to pretend to be. I'm a dude.
You have him dressed in a suit and tie. Yeah.
I'm a guy. No, I'm a guy. I'm just a furry guy. What? You're a herophobe? You're a hirsutophobe? But
well, here's the thing. A friend of mine he lives in Arizona, and he bought a Leaf, which is that really shitty. Is that a Chevrolet
I was going to say, is that a Ford?
It's an American car, which
by
definition is a piece of crap. But it's a totally electric car.
Yeah.
He uses
a $28,000 car, by the way, with nothing in it.
Yeah, no, it's a piece of shit, and it's exclusively just to putz around town. We have a Honda Fit, which is pretty much made by Bic because it's disposable. But the Leaf he has, and he had installed solar panels that are designed to just charge his car, and that's
okay. The solar panels are at the house, not on the car.
No, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be cool if you could just drive around and your car is charging while you're driving around?
That actually is a cool idea.
But these things take up a lot more room anyway. So, this is good for him. But I mean, as far as the technology goes today, have you driven in a Tesla, Ted?
No, I haven't had the privilege. No.
Do yourself a favor. If you know someone who has one, go ahead and drive one. They're a remarkable machinery. I know people hate, hate Musk and all that guy, but the Tesla is a pretty amazing car. And but now they've the battery life has extended a little bit more. Now here's the problem, Ted. Charging it. That still means power plants, which means that if more people have electric cars, they're going to have to charge them somewhere, and that electricity is going to have to be generated somewhere. Two, if you
Where
want
does
cars that
electricity come from? 40% of it, of all electricity, comes from carbon,
coal,
comes from petroleum products, right? It comes from
coal,
oil and
yeah,
gas and coal.
yeah,
Yeah.
coal, and now natural gas, which now all of a sudden is bad for you, which I'm really kind of just devastated by that because I thought it was kind of cool. Because a friend of mine worked for the natural gas company, and she had a natural gas car, and I thought that's so cool. You can fill it up at home. It's awesome, but apparently not.
Don't get hit from behind.
Well, it's kind of a pretty blue flame for a second. That's kind of cool.
Go toward the light.
Okay, so the other side of that, not just having to increase exponentially electric production, which, as Ted mentioned, is not
And charging
environmentally friendly.
stations everywhere.
Well, that's the second part of this was the distance you can go with your car, and you had the batteries, more and more batteries now. Ted and I both know this. Lithium is the main ingredient now for these car batteries.
Right.
Ted, tell our listening audience where lithium comes from.
90% of it comes from the mines of eastern Afghanistan, currently controlled by the Taliban. The Taliban have been look like they are currently honoring all the mining contracts, concessions that were issued under the old U.S. puppet regime under Hamid Karzai and Ashraf Ghani. And so the main beneficiary of America's 20-year war in Afghanistan is, wait for it, China. That's right.
Okay, but not just yeah, a large percentage comes from Afghanistan. You know where the rest of it comes from?
It's all under you, and it's all under Chinese control.
Western Africa, where China has always made a lot of friends.
I wonder why those countries in particular. Why?
Well,
why are they so interested in lithium? I wonder.
And you can imagine, especially in underdeveloped African countries, how well the workers are treated.
Well, that's true. The Chinese, and the thing is, though, the Chinese have always, famously are into the long game, and they know it. They've always known what was coming, so they are going to control this a lot. I mean, it's possible that this technology will change and that lithium won't be necessary, or that maybe it'll be possible to use less of it. But currently, that's not the case. And there's another aspect to these batteries. No one really knows, Scott, how long these batteries will last. When I got my Honda, I had to, they basically said, I was like, well, how long is the battery, the fuel cell going to work? And they said, well, we don't know because we've never sold these before. So we'll see. Good luck. Go downhill as much as possible. And so and I was like, well, metaphorically I have, but I'm not sure. I think they meant physically. So it's a problem because you've got all of these batteries out there that nobody knows how long they're going to last, and that increases the price of the car enormously. I think I had to pay, if memory serves, $6,000 or $7,000 to replace that battery. It was either that.
Wait, how much?
6,000 or 7,000. And I got I did it because it was that or get, whatever, 2010 Honda. And when I did the math, I was like, it still was worth it to get the new battery. And also I care about the environment as I dumped my old lithium battery into the landfill.
You're a real tree hugger there, Ted.
Yeah, I'm awesome. So it's very, and then of course, Scott, here's the big question. Let's assume that by some miracle, the Biden administration decides to jam through these regulations, right? The EPA, whoever is regulating the auto emissions standards, they do this. They don't need congressional approval. What happens when President, Haley or DeSantis or Trump most likely comes in, or Scott comes in 2024 or 2028? Don't those things just all go out the window?
Sure. Yeah, they get reversed. I don't see it as, here's the thing. I agree with you. I mean, by extension, the tax credits make it worth my while to buy an electric car. I have a hybrid currently. My wife and I decided that made sense for us. The price was right. and it's a Camry, and so the size, we love the car. It's great, and we get 50 miles to the gallon. It's awesome.
How does your friend like his Leaf?
He likes it okay. I mean, like I said, he uses it just to putz around town.
Yeah, but how does he like how's the putzing going?
It's, it gets you from point A to point B.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like, yeah, but no, let's face it. It's not like,
does he like it? Would he get it again?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never asked. I'll ask him and I'll get back to you. Okay. Because, I had a Porsche. That was fun. That was fun to drive.
I remember.
Yeah, you drove it too. And
it was fun.
Yeah, it really is. That's fun to drive. The Camry is not fun to drive. It's comfortable to drive. It gets you around. It gets you, like I said, we also have to make some long trips. We have family down in New Orleans. The Fit, the disposable Bic car, piece of crap, long distance travel. It did it, to its credit.
There are some hipsters who have Fit demolition derbies. I don't know how long they last.
I was going to say, how would you know? It's like, oh my God, it's falling apart. Yeah. No, I got in the other day, and the armrest came off in my hands. I'm not kidding.
It did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least it's not the steering wheel.
Not yet. So electric cars, now self-driving cars, we should probably have another segment on that some other time, because you and I.
Well, I think it's revolutionary. I mean, it's a radical change. I mean, just think about it. Let's just assume that. I think, first of all, what this is going to mean is fewer Americans are going to own cars, because there's just going to be, the prices will be out of reach, even with the economy.
Yeah.
B, this is going to have some geopolitical implications. The hunt for lithium and the control for lithium is going to change things. It's also going to, it's also going to have even effects on like the old-fashioned road trip, because charging is not a 4-minute stop at a gas station anymore.
No.
It's going to be, let's say, I mean, there are these supercharging stations that are faster, but basically it's a half hour or 40-minute stop, right?
I think it's several
hours. At a supercharging station.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so you have to pay a premium for that. So most people won't. So then basically you'll be able to go, let's say 200-300 miles. And then that's kind of it. I mean, the old, it's Kerouac on the road. This is not, right? I mean, or it's like on the road, but not very much.
Not very far, you're not getting to Big Sur. Just put it that way. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be here all week.
On the Lido deck.
I couldn't agree more. It would be great if you could have, like I said, you could put solar panels or have some kind of charging station there. The source of the electricity was also environmentally friendly. Frankly, I like what the French have done with nuclear power, with very small plants.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought as a lefty growing up in the 70s during the no nukes period that I'd ever say this, but clearly any solution that doesn't include nuclear power is foolish. It's not realistic at all.
Well, I agree. And I mean,
it's got to get real.
But and we also have to stop being so fucking American. And that is, by that, I mean, you don't have to have a nuclear plant that's the size of Delaware. You don't have to have these massive The French did it right. They just had little plants sprinkled throughout the country.
Very lethal plant.
Size of Clovis.
Very lethal.
If you put Clovis on a wheel, would that generate enough electricity?
Yes, but not for very long. He would just like lie down, and it's like, well, I guess we're not watching any TV tonight.
I have this image of him just lying on the wheel, and the wheel just kind of going back and forth lazily, going.
That's a very realistic image. Yeah, my favorite alternate energy source is geothermal. Man, it's awesome.
You talked about this. Why? And I've mentioned this to a number of people. Some of them involved in heating and electricity, some of them just smart people, and they all kind of grunt and stare at me, and they don't get it. Is this something that nobody has? I mean,
it's really popular on Long Island now. I think it has. So basically, you just dig a hole, and you basically, the theory is that it's the same temperature once you dig like 60 feet down year round. So I think like on Long Island, where I used to live, it was 56 degrees.
Yeah.
at 65 feet all the time. So if you think about it, that means all you have to do to heat your house to say 70 degrees in the winter, although that would be too warm for me, but I think most people would like that. You only have to heat from 56 to 70. You're only paying for 14 degrees of heat. And then air conditioning in the summer is free. I mean, unless you want it below 56 degrees, which holy shit.
Yeah. Even Ted doesn't want that.
No, that's a little brisk. So, and so I think the deal is there's a tax incentive here in New York State. It's a pretty good deal. It's pretty expensive to dig that hole. I suspect that that one of the things that gets in the way is if you live in a place with really rocky soil, digging that hole is a big pain in the ass. I had to have a well dug where I lived. Long Island's basically a sandbar, and the way it worked is they said, okay, well, we take this giant auger bit. It's really a cool contraption. It's like 20 feet high, and it drills into the ground. And if it hits a rock, they have to start again. So each time they do it, it's $8,000. So you hope they don't hit a rock. So I was lucky because it was just sand, and it went straight in, just like just shoop. And I only had to pay the 8,000 to get the well, but it could have been like 8,888, like ding 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 ding, like fuck. So I think that's probably holding people back. But I mean, once humanity conquers the challenge of digging holes, we will probably be able to solve this problem.
I mean, it sounds too good to be true. I haven't done a lot of research in it, but I'd love to. I mean, here in where I live in Alabama, we're pretty much on a shelf of rock. It's granted, it's soft rock. It's usually mostly sandstone, but it's still rock. Drilling through it, I don't know if you can or what the demand, but shit, they do wells in Texas, and that just looks like one big fucking rock to me. So I could be wrong, but wouldn't that be great? I'd like to do that. The back of my house faces south, which was just like the perfect exposure to put up solar panels. However, I live in a state that kind of penalizes you for doing shit like that. You can't sell your electricity back. The electric company pretty much runs the state, so they just kind of take whatever you want to give them, and you still have to pay like $50 a month just to still be hooked up. Yeah, well, you're still hooked up, and just in case you run out of juice somewhere along the line.
Gotcha.
That's crazy, but yeah, I think I'd love to do that anyway. But that's just me.
So speaking of technology, we're going to keep the theme.
Oh God, terrifying.
We'll talk about NYPD has brought out the revolutionary new snitchbot. Stay with us.
Bark, bark.